Hello YouTube, this is Gorod Radio Moscow here again with another beer review. It's been a while since I've done a United States one actually, so this one is the Left Hand Brewing Company's Blackjack Porter. Now my friend Erin in Colorado who lives there, she'd been requesting that I do a Colorado beer, so here you are. But anyway, as usual, let me just take you through the history of this brewery as I like to do. Now the Left Hand Brewing Company are a craft brewery based in Longmont in northern Colorado. Now in December 1990, co-founder Dick Doer received a home brewing kit from his brother, and according to him it went all downhill from there. But by 1993 he had resolved to start up a brewery with his college friend Eric Wallace. Now Dick had been home brewing for years, and Eric had travelled internationally fairly extensively, and he'd always been able to find some very interesting beers. But they made some initial batches of beer and they impressed their neighbours and friends, and so this was where they decided to start the brewery. Now in 1993 they incorporated as Indian Peaks Brewing Company, the name coming from the Indian mountain peaks that were very close by to where they lived. Now they searched for a location and eventually settled on a former meat packaging plant in the St. Vrian River, which is near downtown Longmont. But within a few weeks they'd started to produce their own labels, and they had purchased kegs and bombers and things like this. But at the very early stage of the brewery there was a conflict of interest surrounding the name Indian Peaks, as another brewery was using this as the name for one of their beer styles. But the brewery quickly changed their name, not wanting to start off on the wrong foot. They changed their name to the Left Hand, and this was basically in honour of Chief Niwot, whose tribe used to wander the area. Niwot apparently means left hand in the Arapaho tribal language. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, Arapaho? I'm not quite sure, but anyway, it's named as a native. The left hand comes from the word Niwot, obviously a Native American word. But in 1994 the brewery opened its doors, and the first beer to be produced was the Sawtooth Ale, which can still be purchased today. And later in the year the brewery won 2 medals at the Great American Beer Festival. This one, the Blackjack Porter, instantly won a bronze medal in the porter category, and the Sawtooth Ale won gold in the bitter category. Now in 1995 they increased personnel and machinery at the brewery and introduced several new types of beer. They were also able to put their logo on the bottle caps in this year, and this is the small red sort of red hand you can see on the brewery here. I'm not sure, incidentally, if the red hand is another reference to the Native Americans with the sort of red tinge that the Native Americans are said to have on their skin. But to be honest, I'm not sure if that's a racist remark to say that about the kind of Native Americans or not. So pardon me if that is. I'm a bit ignorant in that way. But anyway, the next point was in 1998 when they merged with Tabernash Brewery from Denver, and at this point they started producing bottled beer. At that point, before, they'd just been producing kegs and things like that. But they also started their own distribution company called the Indian Peaks Distribution. However, during the next 10-year period this was sold, and the Tabernash brand was faded out and brought into the Left Hand, merged with the Left Hand brand basically. In more recent years the brewery's been expanding massively to keep up with the demand of their customer base, but apparently now they have added 6 480 barrel fermenters, an additional 500 barrel bright tank, and a new KHS keg line, and they've also interestingly added a new bottling line that apparently fills 200 bottles per minute. That's a hell of a lot of beer, I have to say. But in 2011 apparently they are the first craft brewery to have mastered the bottling of a nitrogen beer with the production of the Milk Stout Nitro. I'll need to investigate this a bit further and see if I can get one of these, actually read into exactly what the things behind this particular beer are. But since formation the brewery have won several medals at the World Beer Cup, the Great American Beer Festival, and the European Beer Star. So I mean, this is obviously going to be a fairly good beer, and it's a brewery that has a good bit of a reputation. But in addition to this Blackjack Porter, their other core beers include the Sawtooth Ale, Milk Stout Nitro, 400 Monkey, which is an IPA, Polestar Pilsner, Stranger Pale Ale, Wake Up Dead. Wake Up Dead is the final one, sorry, in addition to this. But Wake Up Dead is a Russian Imperial Stout. Now they also have several seasonal beers, which includes Oktoberfest, Good Juju, Warrior IPA, and 4 different ones under the name Fade to Black. I'm not sure if that's a reference to the Metallica song that's on the Ride the Lightning album. I'll need to look into that a little bit. Maybe I can find these and do a review of them myself. But anyway, without further ado, let's have a little look at the bottle art and things, and then we'll get on to the tasting. As you can see, this has actually got quite a cool bottle work on it actually. I'm not sure if that's meant to be like a praying mantis or a kind of upside down octopus or something like that with this one. As you can see, as I showed you earlier, you have the red hand on the red left hand on the bottle cap here, and as I say, I'm not sure whether that is a reference to the another net reference to Chief Niwot, the Native Americans. But anyway, without further ado, let's get on with the tasting of this beer. My little notes are just being a bit funny, but this is apparently a 6.8% English style porter. Apparently, the hops that are used in this one are Pale Turo, Crystal. Oh, sorry, this is the malts. Pale Turo, Crystal Chocolate, Munich, and wheat malts, along with Goldings and Magnum hops. So this one should be going. I can smell the nose off of this already. It actually has quite an attractive smell to it. But let's get this guy out and see what he's like. As you can see, it's a very, very dark colour. Let's give it a bit of an aggressive pour, try and get some head on it there. You can see the head's kind of rising in. As you can see, it's a very, very dark colour. If I hold it to the light, there's a bit of a ruby hint to it, but it's mainly a very dark brown colour. There's not so much visible in the way of carbonation. The head is fluffy rather than bubbly. When I move it around, I think that's going to leave some lacing in the glass, I would say. In terms of the aroma, it's quite a roasted aroma. There's some coffee in there. I'm getting some chocolate and maybe some kind of dark sugars. Maybe, I'm not sure about dark fruits, to be honest. I think it's mainly kind of roasted malts, coffee, a bit of dark chocolate kind of thing. But anyway, let's just get on with the tasting. In fact, maybe there's just a little hint of caramel in there actually as well. Oh yeah, it's quite nice actually, I have to say. The first thing that comes in this one is you start off with the chocolate, the dark chocolate kind of caramel flavour, and there's a hint of the kind of coffee in there as well. But yeah, the kind of, you're starting off with a sort of chocolatey caramel blend, then you get the roastiness a bit more to the middle after the initial taste, I'd say. But yeah, it starts off with the chocolate and caramel, you get a bit of roastiness in the middle, and then you get the kind of hop bitterness at the end. The hop bitterness actually finishes it really nicely. The aftertaste that I'm getting at the moment is the kind of, you are getting that sort of coffee element to it, I'd say. That's the thing that's kind of lingering, and you do get a little bit of the hop bitterness as well. It's got a really nice aftertaste, this one, I have to say. Yeah, on the mouth, I'd say this is another mid-bodied one, I would say. It's actually got quite a creamy mouthfeel to it. It's very kind of wet on the tongue. The carbonation's just right as well. It's a bit, in my experience of porters and stouts, this is a bit more carbonated, but it actually works quite well with the sort of wet mouthfeel that you have from it. This is a really nice beer, I have to say. I read on the Left Hand Brewing website apparently that they recommend that this beer goes well with chowder and what was it, tiramisu. So I guess maybe try it with these and see what you reckon. I would say this it's quite, like I say, the flavour on this one's very blended. It's very chocolatey. It has that element of roast coffee to it, kind of mid-bodied. Very nice. It's actually a very, very well blended flavour with the hot bitterness that you get at the end. Fairly kind of mid-bodied, I would say. It's got a very wet mouthfeel, which I feel is a little bit unusual for a porter in my experience. But anyway, thanks again for watching my beer reviews. I've got a number of different American craft beers that I will get through at some stage. But thanks again for watching, and please, Americans, if you're watching, please recommend other breweries. I mean, we have a bit of a limited scope that we can actually get in the shops here in Scotland, but just let me know other breweries and I can obviously look into that and see about importing them, because you get some specialist beer importers. But anyway, thanks again for watching my beer reviews. I'll be back tomorrow, I think, with an Asian beer this time. It's been a while since I've done an Asian one. But thanks for watching. Please let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments. Like, subscribe, share the videos, all the usual YouTube jazz. But I'll be back soon, and thanks again for watching. Cheers.